In this video, we're taking a look at Bruges in Brussels. It's a great little town. And to get to Bruges, we take the train from Brussels. It's about an hour and 5 minutes by train to Bruges. And here we are. We've arrived at this train station. We walked out to the street, and there are lots of buses out here and taxis. It's a really small town. Up in the distance, you see a spire. Looking back, we can see where we came out of the train station. It's almost invisible. It's tucked away back in there. There it is. And that's the train station we came out of. From here, we're going to walk to the Hotel Duke's Palace. It's about a 20-minute walk, and it's on cobblestones, but we wanted to see the landscape as we made our way into the old town. And here we are making our way along the walkway by some statues, and here we're entering town where the cobblestones have changed. Now that we've arrived in town, we're wondering which street to take to get to the hotel. And we'll find our way and then continue on the journey. All right, we dropped our stuff off at the Duke's Palace, and now we just stepped outside, and here we are heading towards the Market Square. The Market Square is where most of the community activities take place. This particular day, they're preparing for a celebration. I believe it was Independence Day or something like that for them. And the square is being prepped. The stands being made, shows being set up, but still we can get a pretty good view of the square as a whole. And back here is the provincial house. The sounds of bells chiming. The belfry. And we can see the preparations going on here for the celebrations. Let's make our way through some of the side streets to see what they look like. They're very picturesque, many old buildings, very little traffic. It's primarily foot traffic here, although cars are allowed. And here we are in a little square where we can see the church in the background, a statue here. And then, if we look to the right, we should be able to see one of the best Belgian chocolate shops here.
The biggest thing he did was he came up with a new city defense. Because a lot of cities still had their medieval shape, which is either a circle.
It's in the back, we can't quite see it. We'll come back and look at it.
But all the armies.
Here's another view.
As a very small chapel made by Saint Eloi, which gradually grew into a chapel, a small church, a church. And then from the year 900s to the year 1200s, they built this. So it took 300 years. So definitely do go inside. It closes 5:30. It closes, much like any museum or city building. You can visit from 5:30. Then 5 tomorrow. The next thing I want to talk about is that beautiful building. You already spotted it, sir. In 1669. You'll see a lot of dates on houses here in Bruges. It's not the date of the building, but the renovations. Because fires, believe it or not, was a big problem in medieval cities. And in the 1600s, they decided we have enough. There was a new law.
With the tour guide, and it's interesting what he had to share. We'd recommend you get that tour guide for the walking tour. Very picturesque turrets. And this is Lover's Bridge. And this is an area where in the old days people would try to smuggle things in without paying duties and taxes. And so there was a little window on one of the buildings so they could catch people trying to sneak in the back way. These canals are picturesque. This is one of the great views. It's often in images in movies. It's where the boats head out. We'll take a boat ride later. And that's our guide there with the umbrella.
Op het moment dat iemand heilig wordt verklaard, dan gaat men zijn graf iemand plunderen.
And then we set off on our own to explore. It's a small town, but there's some amazing side streets and views and theaters. And here's a statue of Jan van Eyck, a famous Flemish painter active in Bruges, one of the early painters in the early Netherlandische painting. And we panned around and back to Jan van Eyck. And then we walked out to the end of the old town. And here we're at a main street and the entrance to the old town. And still there really isn't that much traffic. It's still excellent walking areas. There's some new buildings up there. We can see the new developments outside the old town. And if we pan back, we'll see the old town again, and we'll make our way back into the old town. Here we're heading into the old town from the main street. And that's the shuttle for the center of town that takes you from one end to the other on the right. And right here is a chocolate place where you can take classes to make Belgian chocolate. And we did actually sign up for this. There's another video maybe. It's in this window back there. And then we come across another church, a Greek restaurant, and that central shuttle has caught up with us again. They've done a great job preserving the architecture of the old buildings. And that's the spot that we'll end up taking the boat or the canal ride from. The Bourgogne de Flanders is one of my favorite brew pubs here. They make a really wonderful beer, actually a wonderful selection of beers. And you can sit out there, watch the boats go by. Looking back, we can see a little marketplace down there by the trees. Now we're in a marketplace by the canals. Tour groups everywhere.
dan hier op die steen doen. Ik kan hem niet.
And now we've left that area and we're approaching another square. It's time for a snack. A wide selection of restaurants here with seating outside and inside. As we pass the statue, we may catch a glimpse of that chocolate shop I mentioned earlier. There it is. It's called the Chocolate Line. There are many chocolate shops here, and they're all great. We just had a marginal preference for this one. We stopped up, and now we're heading out. We can see the steeple from here. And as we approach another park, we hear some music, festivities. Good to see there's a sketches here too. Old and new. And now we're on the boat ride. Here we're passing the Bourgogne de Flanders on the right.
And she houses an impressive art collection, of which the most famous piece is the Madonna with Child from Michelangelo. And then here in front of us is the Bonifacius Bridge from 1910. We also call it the Bridge of Love and Luck because we believe that it brings luck when you kiss your loved ones above or under the bridge. So now we are gonna go under the lowest bridge of our cruise. So everybody please mind your heads. As the water outside of the city center is 1 meter higher. Also behind the lock house is the Lake of Love, most romantic place here in Bruges. Taken care of by this lock house. They are And so we have 70 swans in Bruges. And then there is another story that I can share with you about the St. John's Hospital. It is a rather sad story, but it was part of our history, so I will share it anyways. So of course we have the main entrance, which is by land. But then also we have a second entrance here at the back, or rather the side of the hospital. And that was for the people who were brought here by boat. And that were the people who were contaminated with the plague. So behind the wall you will see that there's the stairs, and then just there is the second entrance. It is right here. And so at the moment we are sailing on the canals we call Rijen, and so altogether we have 12 kilometers of those canals, of which we cover about 4 kilometers during our cruise. They have an average depth of weekend and holiday. And then here on the right, the hotel. All the glass is Venetian crystal from Murano, Italy. It's very beautiful, slightly pink and green colored. And then soon here on the left you will see the Belfry Tower. And the Belfry Tower is an 83-meter-high watchtower from the 14th century. There are 366 steps to the top. So it is clear that it might take some courage and some motivation to get you all the way up there. But as soon as you do, you are immediately rewarded with a breathtaking view of Bruges and its surrounding area. In clear weather, you can see even all the way up to the North Sea. 2 beers might help you to get up there more easily. 5 beers, maybe not. And then here on the left is the old Palace of Justice from the 16th century. And so we have 43 bridges in our city center, and the bridge that you see in front of you is the oldest one in town, and it dates from the 14th century. And as you have maybe noticed, almost all of my colleagues are men. And so I am, since recently, officially the 3rd woman on the water since the beginning of the history of the boats in Bruges. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Time for some change, indeed. And so the flag we have here on the left, that is the flag of Bruges. So when you see the blue line with the red stripes, it is the flag of Bruges. And when you see the black line with the yellow background, then it is the flag of Flanders. And then here on the right, you will see a house with red windows, and that is the Almshouse de Pelican from 1634. So these houses were built by the rich, and they were given to the poor. And then in return, the poor, they had to pray, and they had to work for those rich. But they had to pray a lot, and work a lot, and from generations and generations and so on. So it is not as noble as it sounds. It's 15 kilometers only. Yes, we are very close by the Netherlands from here. It goes to Sluis. So the church here in front is the St. Anna Church that was built at the beginning of the 17th century. And the church will definitely surprise you with its abundant Baroque interior. And then here on the left you see that dark red house, and that is the so-called blood house, because ox blood was put into the paint to obtain the color, and it was the typical color for the middle class. And also nowadays these houses are protected by UNESCO, and so that means if you buy a dark red house in Bruges, you are not allowed to change the color. It's a very exclusive location. It's here where the 3 canals meet, so it's quite an epic point, and a beautiful view on the Porter's Lodge. But so here behind the bridge, the canal goes straight and it goes to the North Sea. And so the distance is also 15 kilometers. So same, like the other one for the Netherlands. Here also 15, but then towards the North Sea. But so centuries ago, the North Sea came until here. So, and that is why now we are reaching the old port of Bruges, which had its glory days between the 13th and the 16th century. So the beautiful building that we are seeing in front of us is the Porter's Lodge from the 16th century. So all the rich people, they came here together to trade. During the 15th century, about 150 ships a day came here with mainly spices, textiles and gold. And just to give you guys an idea, at that time black pepper was more expensive than gold. En voor de Nederlandstaligen onder ons, vandaar komt dus ook de uitdrukking peperduur. Built in 1821 and it is made with 126 custom colors. And then the wooden facade we see here in front of us is a replica of the 17th century. It was also used for the movie In Bruges with Colin Farrell. And so Farrell had to jump into a boat from a window upstairs, and I can tell you that he had to jump many times to get the scene right. Okay, and so then, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately we have reached the end of our tour.
And now after the canal ride, we're walking through this park here, Koenig Astrid or King Astrid Park. We found this park stepping out of the canal ride and taking a short stroll. It's a quiet park. It's tucked away in the residential area, and it seems that people who might live locally seem to grab their lunch or something and come back here and have a snack. We found this a great place to sit down and take a break after that boat ride, which was really inspirational. There's a bus of the Koenig Astrid or King Astrid. Walkways are really comfortable. Picnic benches. We came across this. There's a little park with modern sculptures and pillars, also with a really quiet feel to it, because it's not on the main street, so there aren't as many tourists in here, which means that it's somewhat quiet. Making our way back across the basilica, we once again come across to Lover's Bridge right there. This used to be a back channel for people to smuggle goods into town, and that little window there is the window that was used by the inspectors to watch for people trying to come in through the back entrance. And so that's the smallest window in town. And that's Bruges for you. We enjoyed it. We'd recommend making the trip, and this is a beautiful place. I hope you enjoyed it with us. Thank you so much for watching.